This might be tough for some people to hear, but when a team reaches the Super Bowl, that is more likely the peak of their run than it is the beginning of some great dynasty. The Rams are a perfect example from last year. They seem set with Goff and Gurley and Aaron Donald and boy genius Sean McVay at the helm, and then they lost the Super Bowl and missed the playoffs in a really tough NFC West. And I predict the exact same thing to happen to the San Francisco 49ers. Teams that lose the Super Bowl, the Rams, the Falcons, the Panthers, pretty much every team that doesn't have a coach named Bill Belichick or a quarterback named Peyton Manning doesn't make it back anytime soon. A lot of them find themselves rebuilding not too long after. This is a pattern I really see continuing with San Francisco, who, prior to this year, hadn't finished with a winning record since 2013. They had a massive spike in DVOA going from 4-12 to the Super Bowl, which was always going to be difficult to maintain, but in the case of this 49ers team, I think it will be especially so. Now, I'm somewhat of a Jimmy Garoppolo believer. He's maintained a yards per attempt above 8 every season since he started for Tom Brady that one time. His on-target percentage is always hovering in the high 70s, it's fine if you can be doing it consistently, which he has. His Pro Football Focus grade is usually decent. I mean, you can watch him, and you can know what to expect from him, which is about borderline Pro Bowl level play year in and year out. A lot of people act like he's the weak link of this team or some unknown wild card, but I disagree. I think he's clearly a decent quarterback if he can stay healthy. Jimmy Garoppolo isn't my main concern. The defense is. In 2019, almost every player on San Francisco's defense was playing the best football of their whole lives. You can only have the best season of your career once, and it's far more likely everyone takes a step back rather than a step forward in 2020. Defensive regression hit the Jaguars hard after the AFC Championship a few years ago, and it happened to the Bears after the playoffs last year. It will happen to the 49ers this year. And the problem with Jimmy Garoppolo is he might be fine, but is he good enough to overcome that? From 2018 to 2019, Richard Sherman jumped from negative 2.5 points saved in pass defense to 30.5. Fred Warner jumped from 9.1 points saved to 35.6. Those are just two small examples of the crazy jump in quality we saw across the entire defense. And every time that happens, you can pretty safely predict a step back the following year. Especially a defense that relies so much on a 32-year-old cornerback that got noticeably worse at the end of last season, and is also relying on a rookie to replace an all-pro caliber defensive tackle. Before this season, Robert Saleh's defensive unit ranked 26th and 23rd, with more or less the same players. He was passed over for any head coaching job this offseason, and if the players don't perform at a super high level again, it may not be a great idea to expect Saleh to make up for it with his coaching prowess, unlike the offensive side of the ball, which literally has a bona fide football genius at the helm. But there are factors that can kneecap even Shanahan. The 49ers lost Emmanuel Sanders in free agency, and Deebo Samuel has a broken foot, and who knows when he'll be back to 100%. If he's out for the first couple weeks, the 49ers starting wide receivers may be Brandon Ayuk and Kendrick Bourne, which is not ideal. Rookie wide receivers almost never give big production instantly, and it's going to put even more pressure on a 49ers running game, which I guarantee you every single defensive coordinator has been thinking about how to stop all offseason. And speaking of that rushing game, what makes it so effective, it's not that Raheem Mostert is just better than everyone. The 49ers rushing attack relies on precision, it relies on timing, it relies on finesse. Now, 3 of the 5 Super Bowl offensive linemen are replaced. And the first time their replacements will see actual action in this scheme this season will be Week 1 versus the Cardinals versus Chandler Jones. That combined with the potential inexperienced receiving core could mean that they grapple with offensive and defensive regression to start the season. Their schedule to start the season is very soft, and if they don't start fast, the season could get really ugly really fast because they have the Packers, Saints, Cowboys, Bills, Rams, Cardinals, and Seahawks in the second half of the season, and those all look like potential playoff teams to me. And it doesn't help, of course, that the NFC West is the most talented division in football. The worst team in that division right now, which Vegas has as the Cardinals or Rams, would probably be favorites to straight up win the NFC North or the AFC East. There is going to be no breathing room for the 49ers to struggle. Every year for decades now, at least 4 teams who made the playoffs the previous year missed them the next. I think the 49ers are as good a bet as any to join that list in 2020.